Live on this last day of February, February 28th, 2026. The NFL Combine is in the underway. Today's the big day for us fantasy players. If we follow the Combine, because all the running backs, tight ends went yesterday, but running backs and wide receivers today. So we'll be interested to see kind of how that all shakes out. There's a split kind of decision on how much does the Combine actually matter. Some think it matters everything. Some think it doesn't matter at all. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle. But we'll start getting some numbers in there, and I'm excited to kind of ramp up the scouting post Combine. We'll see whose stock rises and falls and stuff like that. We always get some of these guys who rise and fall based off of how they perform at the Combine. So yeah, we're in here for a little bit at least, not very long today, most likely. But if you guys have any questions, of course, drop them in the chat here about anything really, about the Combine, about trades, Dynasty, regular, redraft football, life. If I can answer it, I'll help you there. But yeah, we are here again following the Combine and just kind of talking football here. So if we kind of look at the live results here, and I'll pull this up for us. Here we go. We can see for the tight ends, a lot of the tight ends already ran. And yeah, Kenyon Sadiq, man, running a 4.39 is pretty insane. For someone to run a 4.3, a tight end to run a 4.39, that's the fastest ever, I think, for a tight end, or at least the fastest in the last 25 years or so for a tight end. I think like Vernon Davis was the last one to run like a 4 flat, and here we have Kenyon Sadiq running a 4.39. So again, how much does it matter when it comes to projecting who's going to be good in the NFL? It matters a little bit, definitely matters a little bit. So just to give you a reference here, 4.39 is literally 100th percentile. Like it is literally the best. It's just insane for a tight end to be running, a tight end who is a player who's 240 pounds, 6'3", 240. It's pretty insane for them to be running a sub 4.4. Honestly, it's insane for them to run like a sub 4.5. To run a sub 4.4 is, that's bonkers, man. That is bonkers. His vertical was amazing. His broad jump was amazing. His 10-yard split was amazing. Like everything about, and we kind of predicted this, right? We knew Sadiq was just going to test like off the charts here. I mean, we see his 10-yard split. I always think 10-yard split kind of matters the most when it comes to, projecting success in the NFL, just because how often do you run 40 yards? Not very often. It's much more likely you're running 10 yards. So, it's pretty insane to see here. I mean, just for reference, let me see here. Like, Bijan Robinson ran a 4.46. Yeah. Now Bijan Robinson, I think actually, let me actually double check what, now I'm second guessing myself what Bijan ran, but I know they showed them in like, in the side-by-side and Sadiq won that. So let me pull up Bijan Robinson here. Bijan Robinson ran 4.46 at the Combine, which is insane to think that Kenyon Sadiq is that much faster than Bijan. Yeah, running a freaking a 4.39. So he was the top in the 40 in the 10-yard split. He had a really good vertical, only bested by Eli Stowers. His broad jump only bested by Stowers. I don't think he did these other drills here. So, pretty insane to see. Is Justin Jefferson a good buy at price? Depends on what you, I guess, mean by price and what the person that has them is valuing them. Is Justin Jefferson a buy because he's currently not in the tier one of wide receivers, but can easily become a tier one wide receiver? Then yes. So if the person you're buying from doesn't value him as a potential tier one wide receiver, then absolutely he is. Because we know Justin Jefferson, he was considered. I mean, he was tight. I'd imagine he was like up there with wide receiver one heading into last season, right? Let's see exactly where he was in. Yeah, so heading into the season last year, he was wide receiver 2, and arguably the best wide receiver in the entire NFL, right? And now people are a little bit down on him, a little bit, because of the quarterback situation there. So yes, he is a buy if the person you're buying him from doesn't value him as a tight end, as a tier one wide receiver. So if you want to shoot some, trade options there and stuff like that, please drop them in the chat there. Pepe, I'm going to call you Pepe. I don't know if it's Passe Pepe or if I'm saying it right or not. If you guys aren't in our Discord, please join our Discord. I'm dropping it in the chat here. So if you want to join our Discord there, hop in. And if you want to get into a listener league, I think we have one spot open. We're going to do a startup here in March, a listener league. And if you want to join that, a real money one, we got one spot open. So if anyone's interested in doing a startup in March, join the Discord. So again, just kind of through the roof here with some of these. The running backs are testing here. My boy Seth McGowan, love to see it, 42.5 vertical there. So Seth McGowan again, like I knew he was going to test well. This is one of my favorite rookie prospects, guys, in at the running back position. No one is talking about him. We've been talking about him now for the last month or so. Seth McGowan, I think, is a legit guy that you could be drafting in the second round, maybe even third round of your rookie drafts. He's out of Kentucky. Now, the issue with Seth McGowan is like he's already 26 years old. So, he's not going to go day 2, right? Obviously, he's not going to go day 1. He's almost for sure not going to go day 2. Like, I was surprised when RJ Harvey went day 2, only because RJ Harvey at that point was 24 years old. And generally, especially running backs that are already 24, 25 years old, you kind of just use a day 3 pick on them. Seth McGowan, I believe, is already 26 years old. Let me double check if we have his birthday here. It doesn't look like we got official, but I think he's 25 or 26 years old, Seth McGowan. So, but man, go and turn the tape on with McGowan. He's awesome. A couple guys I really like here at the running back position testing well. Now, when it comes to combine drills and what they mean, what's up, Kevin? When it comes to combine drills and like what they mean in terms of value, PFF put out an article. This is now, I think, 4 years old, but I think the information still is quite relevant. If you want to search it up yourself, it's NFL scouting combine drills that matter the most for fantasy football success. That's the title of the article. Just type in, if you type in like combine drills, fantasy football, PFF, you should pull that up. It's from 2022. Anyways, they went back and looked at top 24 finishes for running backs and which drills those running backs were good at, right? And so they were basically trying to find which drills can predict the most future success in the NFL. Without surprise, the 40-yard time really didn't matter too much. I mean, it mattered in terms of their draft position and stuff like that, but the 40-yard time wasn't that. I want to pull up. Maybe it's this 2021 that I'm thinking of here. But anyways, it was the 10-yard split was big, and the broad jump. Those two were quite big when it comes to predicting future success here, if I remember correctly. So wide receivers, it was like the vertical and hand and arm size were the most. Like the 40, again, probably no surprise to anyone, is not quite as predictive as we'd like to think. Because again, how often are people running 40 yards in a straight line? It's very rare. I mean, even wide receivers, like 40-yard routes are not very common. So you kind of want to see more of their burst than anything. So but yeah, my boy Seth McGowan here testing off the charts is awesome. Let me actually pull up what exactly are those drills now, because now I'm doubting myself. Okay, I think it's 10-yard split, broad jump, 3-cone, and shuttle. Like those are the 4, which is most of the drills here. But I think most running backs or most players don't do the 3-cone. So I think it's the 10-yard and the broad jump. Those are the 2 big ones for running backs. 10-yard and broad jump. That's what it is. So you want to look at 10-yard split and their broad jump. If you have a high number in there, that's good. That's good. And as we can see here, Seth McGowan, Mike Washington, 1-2 there. Jadarian Price down here at 10-4, which is really, really good. Emmett Johnson on the list. They're probably still doing this drill a little bit. So, yeah, those are the ones for running backs. For wide receivers, the important drills for wide receivers here are 10-yard split and vertical and hand and arm size. So broad jump, 3-cone, shuttle, those aren't as important. The 10-yard splits, their vertical and their hand and arm size is what's key here for these guys. So just in case you're following the combine and trying to figure out, like, you know, what information's good, what information's not good. Let me grab my water real quick. And so, yeah, if you're watching it, I mean, running backs are doing their drills right now. As you can see, it looks like they've already finished for the most part. They're doing the vertical and the broad right now, it looks like. So wide receivers haven't gone yet. They haven't done the 40-yard for running backs yet. So in case you were wondering there. But yeah, just here, talking a little bit of an update, combine stuff. We'll be live again tomorrow. I mean, I'll stay live a little bit longer if you guys have any questions and stuff, of course. Probably go for another 15, 20 minutes or so. What's up, Marv? And if you guys have any trade questions and stuff like that, hop on in, drop them in. NFL news as of late. Let's see. What have we missed since we last went live? Cowboys placing the franchise tag on Pickens. So, I mean, I think that's good for Pickens. It's good for Dak. I think for CeeDee Lamb, we were probably hoping that Pickens was gone. Yeah, unfortunately for CeeDee Lamb, looks like Pickens is going to be back. Anthony Richardson can seek a trade. So we'll see. It sounds like the Vikings might have some interest in Anthony Richardson. Fishing in fantasy, a good day. Nice. Yeah, that is a great day. But yeah, it sounds like the Vikings could have interest in Anthony Richardson. I've been telling people in your Superflex Dynasty leagues, like, please go out and grab every single quarterback that's out there, like backup quarterback right now. Like Malik Willis is the number one waiver wire, free agent ad for the NFL, right? Like that's kind of the caliber we're talking at. So, if you go look at NFL QB free agents in 2026, like I'm telling you, man, obviously guys like Flacco need to be held on to, but even guys like, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, Zach Wilson, Flacco, we mentioned, Garoppolo. Who else is on here? Obviously, Malik Willis. Like Andy Dalton was like rumored to potentially Andy Dalton was potentially rumored to people were asking about him, I guess. Andy Dalton. I mean, hell, even like a Sam Howell or something like. Of all those quarterbacks I just listed, I think a couple of them are going to have starting jobs come September, right? Again, Russell Wilson, Mariota, Zach Wilson, Tyrod Taylor, Flacco, Garoppolo, Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Mac Jones. Those guys aren't free agents, but maybe they get traded for or something. So go out and grab those guys, man. I think there's going to be, again, eight teams that need a quarterback. One of them's going to fill that with Mendoza, but beyond that, who knows? Marv, should I try and trade the 202 and a random 27-second for Michael Wilson? 14-man start 8. Any idea, Marv, like how random is that random 27-second? Like, is it legit? Could be the 201, could be the 212, or do you have like a lean on where it goes? So basically, Michael Wilson for 2 seconds, I would say is probably the price you would have to pay, right? That is probably the price that you have to pay. Random, but no sooner than 203 to 204. Okay, so it's not going to be within the first couple of picks. So I would say this, if that's a late second, I feel like if I knew it was a late second, I would feel better. I do think it's a little bit of an overpay for Michael Wilson right now on February 28th, but that could easily change. It's a 14-man team too, or 14-man league. So that 203 is really, you're talking about 15, 16, 17. So even if it's the 204, it's like pick 18 overall, right? Or something. So you're basically looking at, if like you're putting it into a calculator, like probably closer to a late second in a 12-team league. Again, do I think that's like probably an overpay right now? Yes, but that could absolutely pay off. I mean, we just saw Michael Wilson, like it's so hard with Michael Wilson because like we saw him be not just good, like we saw this guy be kind of like one of the best wide receivers in the league, basically in the second half of the season whenever Marvin Harrison was out. It wasn't like, oh, he was wide receiver 24. Like Michael Wilson was like, the dude was like putting up like top 5, top 3 wide receiver numbers, right? So I think that's what you have to pay for him. I don't mind it. I don't mind that trade for Michael Wilson. Like, I don't mind either side, to be honest. It could pay off. Like, he could be worth a first-round pick after next year. So I think because of that, because he could, I wouldn't be shocked. Like, if Michael Wilson kind of obviously not repeats what he did, but starts to, do what he was doing last year. And it doesn't even have to be. I mean, some of his numbers last year were insane. I think he's going to probably increase in value. So I don't mind that. I don't mind that. So again, I think it's what you have to pay. Is it going to work out? I don't know. But there's a very good chance it does. I'm trying to get the splits here for Michael Wilson. And okay, so from week 11 to 18, Michael Wilson's 17-game pace, 187 targets, 119 catches, 1,650 yards, 13 touchdowns. Like, that's insane. That's not just like, oh, yeah, he was good. That's like the guy was one of the best receivers in the league in the second half. So, I mean, damn, let's see where he was from week 11 on. So, yeah, it's a long-winded answer, Marv, of saying I think it's a risk, but it 100% could pay off. So if you're confident in Michael Wilson was the wide receiver 2 from week 11 to 18 in points per game and total points. He was only behind Puka. He averaged 21.2 PPR points per game. He averaged more than JSN, more than Olave, A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase in points per game. Like, he was, again, only behind Puka, who was going nuclear, obviously. So, yeah. I think that's a fun one. Been trying to buy Willis and AR for late seconds. Yeah, I think they are a good price there. I think that obviously I feel more confident in. It's weird to say, Like, because if you told me one of these guys, like one of these two hit and they were like a top 5 quarterback next year, I would guess it was A-Ridge, right? Because I think A-Ridge, if he puts it all together, and that's a huge if he puts it all together, the guy could be a monster, right? Because of his rushing ability. Okay. Now, big if, is he going to put it together? I don't know. But I feel more confident in Malik Willis being a startable piece, right? I feel more confident in Malik Willis being a startable piece next week because I think Malik Willis is going to get paid. I was hearing numbers like he's going to get a $25 to $30 million contract per year. Now, if I had to guess, I would guess that it's going to be one of these kind of 1-year contracts that the team can get out of if he if he doesn't, if he flames out or whatever. And then if he doesn't, then you have a pretty good, if he hits as a quarterback, then paying him 25 or 30 million is not crazy because of the quarterback price. So yeah, I think Lake Seconds is what I would give for those guys. I really do. I know it seems crazy. 100% for Malik Willis because I think he's going to get a shot. A-Rich, I think, is a little bit sketchier, but I think he has a higher ceiling than Malik Willis. So I'm fine with 27 seconds or 26 seconds there, or late seconds, I guess I should say. Alec Pierce in a 27-3rd or the 202 and a 27-2nd. Is this the same league, Marv? The 14 team start 8? Alec Pierce is an interesting one, right? So basically, a 14 team start 8, 112 players are getting started each week, right? So it's pretty much right around, in terms of depth, right around a 12 team start 9. So generally we call those not deep leagues. We tend to be more on the shallower side with those leagues, like a 12 by 9, right? A 12 by 8, 12 by 9 are shallow. 12 by 10 is like neither shallow nor deep. Anything with a 12 team, more than 10 starters is considered deep. So a 14 team start 8 is equivalent to basically a 12 team start 9, a little bit deeper than a 12 team start 9. So like what do we expect from Alec Pierce, right? I guess is my question. In deeper leagues, I love Alec Pierce. In our listener leagues that you're going to be in, Marv, by the way, if anyone wants to get in, we have one more spot in our listener league that we're going to be hopefully drafting in March. I'm going to start setting that up probably this weekend. So we got one more spot that we need to fill there. If it's in our listener leagues where we do a 12 by 12, it's a 12 team start 12. Alec Pierce is incredibly, incredibly valuable, right? If I go pull up Alec Pierce in this league, give me 1 second. 1 second, please. Alec Pierce. I go and pull up Alec Pierce. You see that he was 83rd overall, right? He was the 83rd overall player in this league. He was wide receiver 24. Okay. We start 144 players, right? We literally start 144 players each and every week, 12 by 12, right? 12 teams start 12. There's 144 players being started each and every week. Alec Pierce is 100% an incredibly valuable player in this league. He's almost in the top half, right? He's almost in the well, I guess not almost. He's about 10 spots away from being in like the top half of starters. 72 would be the top half. And so he's a clear-cut starter in this. Now, in a 12 by 8, it gets a little bit sketchier, right? It gets a little bit sketchier because to be in the top half of a 12 by 8, you need to be in the top 55, I believe, if I'm doing 56. So he's pretty far away from that, right? Do we expect Alec Pierce to be better than he was last year? I would reckon no. Now, he's a free agent. So what does that mean for him, right? Like he could literally, to me, he's a candidate to go anywhere. He's a candidate to go to whatever team because he probably wants to get paid. right? He's not one of these older receivers for example, an AJ Brown or a Tyreek Hill, who are older, have made a lot of money. Now they still want to get paid, obviously, but older, made a lot of money, maybe already won a Super Bowl and stuff like that. So Alec Pierce to me is like, he could literally go anywhere. Nick, I see your question there. What's your best landing spot for Pierce? I mean, the two that come to my mind are the Bills and the Patriots, right? Why? Well, because what does Alec Pierce do best? He stretches the field and catches long passes, right? He literally has led the league in yards per reception each of the last 2 years. Has 22.3 and 24 yards per catch, 21.3 yards per catch last year. So he stretches the field. So ideally you want a quarterback who can bomb the ball down the field, right? And Josh Allen and Drake May are two quarterbacks that can do that. So those would be my ideal landing spots. And if we're talking about Alec Pierce on those two teams, then I do think he's worth 2 seconds for Pierce and a third, right? So that being said, do I think he's going to do better than he did last year? I find it kind of hard to think that Alec Pierce is going to be much better than a 50 catches, 1,000 yards is pretty insane, right? So I think that's kind of like his peak. I don't his ceiling. Now he could catch more touchdowns, right? He could catch more touchdowns, which could make up for, maybe he has 50 catches and 800 yards, right? Maybe he drops to 16 yards per reception or 17 yards per reception, right? I mean, in his career, he's averaging 18.7. So let's just say he averages 18.7 yards per catch, right? That's probably going to cap him around 50 catches. That's around 900 yards. So he's probably going to have to catch 8+ touchdowns in order to be a wide receiver 2. So I would say, Marv, right now, I'm probably going to pass on that. If it was a deeper league, I'm okay with it. Again, if it's in a 12x12 where you start 144 players, then I'm fine with it, right? Then I'm fine with it because he's almost in the top half of those. In a 14x8, I think I'm going to pass. I think I'm going to pass there. I believe Jadarian Price will move up into the top 6 picks in rookie drafts. Yeah, I mean, I did my last rookie mock draft that I did, I think I had Price at the 106. Maybe I had him at the 107. I don't disagree with you, Marv. So to me, it's kind of a lock, right? Like obviously Love and Mendoza in a super flex league, to me, are locks to go in the top 6. Lemon and Tate, I think, and Tyson are probably locks as well. But the wild card is Denzel Boston versus like RB2, right? Now, RB2 is going to get a little bit of a bump because, RBs are more valuable. Also, in this draft, it is incredibly deep at the receiver position. And so for that reason, I think if you're sitting there at the 106 and you have more picks later on in the draft, later on in the first or early second, you can say to yourself, I think I can get a wide receiver later on in the draft. Yeah. So you take your running back there. So no, I don't disagree with you. I don't necessarily disagree with you. And I see what you're saying there. I don't believe the 3 wide receivers are a lock. If the Jets draft one, they can change things. Sure. But it would still require someone like a Price or Jonah Coleman to go to a really good team in the 2nd or 3rd round, right? Like what if Jadarian Price goes 2nd round, but let's just find a team here. But he goes to the Ravens. I mean, we might not hate that, but we know he's probably not going to be very good year 1. Does that push him off the 106? So not only do those wide receivers have to go to a bad landing spot, but you still need someone to replace them, right? We still need Price or Kenyon Sadiq or Jonah Coleman or Ty Simpson to get a really good landing spot, right? So it's not just automatically, okay, yeah, if the Jets take him, sure. But we're also talking about the number 2 overall pick in the entire draft, right? And so like it's hard to ignore. I'm not gonna drop a player too far. Like a lot of people, I'll give you an example. A lot of people dropped Garrett Wilson. A lot of people dropped Garrett Wilson in their rankings when he got drafted to the Jets. Why? Because he went to the Jets. Now, has Garrett Wilson maybe not hit his ceiling? Sure, but he's still a valuable piece in Dynasty, and we know how good he is. Another example, JSN. When JSN was drafted, a lot of people faded JSN, a lot, because they said, Metcalf and Lockett are there. Seahawks don't need a wide receiver. What are they doing? A lot of people faded JSN. Huge mistake now. So I would caution a little bit on, yeah, we might not like the landing spot now, but we could love it in a year. And sometimes you just got to bank on talent, right? So if we're talking about a player going 2 overall, unless you're talking about the Jets drafting someone at 16th overall, that changes it a little bit, I think. But if you're talking about them taking a wide receiver 2nd overall, which sounds like they're going to go edge, but we gotta still acknowledge that a little bit, right? Despite what we think of the landing spot. 2nd round in Minnesota. Yeah, no, there's a lot of landing spots I love for the running backs. Just kind of looking through the list quickly. I don't mind the Cardinals because maybe they just move on from both Benson and James Conner and they bring in one of their own guys. I don't mind the Titans, especially if they move on from Pollard. I don't mind the Chiefs, obviously, is an amazing landing spot. The Saints, if one of those teams, don't take Jeremiah Love, then one of those 2 teams. I don't mind the Vikings, obviously. The Panthers could be a sneaky spot as well. Steelers, potentially. I don't know. Jacksonville, if that's how they replace ETN. The Bears, if they move on from Swift. And then you still have a couple other teams, like, for example, we might not love it year 1, but we love it for the future. I mean, Texans are probably another one you could throw in there. But like the Ravens, we might not love it in 2026, but we're going to love it beyond that. The Eagles as well are another team that we might not love in 26, but so there's a lot of landing spots, in my opinion, for those running backs. But yeah, anyways, to get back to this, ultimately what you were saying here, I agree with you. I wouldn't be shocked. And I have Jadarian Price clearly as my RB2. I'm fine with Jonah Coleman. I'm not overly impressed by him, but I am 100%. I love Jadarian Price, and I think he's going to go potentially. I would be shocked if he fell out of the top 8. People not stoked on Wilson feel like he can get him for a good price. Garrett Wilson, you mean, Kevin? I agree. Like, we're not excited about Wilson, not because we don't think Garrett Wilson is very good, right? We're not excited about Garrett Wilson because he's on the Jets with no quarterback, right? And so what if and by the way, go back and look at Garrett Wilson. Like, the guy was a top 12 receiver, I believe, before he got injured. It's easy to forget, but Garrett Wilson was having a good season. I'm going to pull it up exactly in PPR what he was. In points per game, Garrett Wilson was the wide receiver 15 in points per game. And by the way, that includes a 0 there. Why is that including the 0? Let me go weeks 1 through 6. The first 6 weeks of the season. Garrett Wilson was the wide receiver 10 in points per game. He averaged 16.6 points per game in the first 6 weeks of the season. That was with Justin Fields, right? Yeah, I do think he's a good buy for sure. If AR remains a cold, he's a starter. I agree, unless they bring back Daniel Jones. He would be a flex. I have Wandell, Juwan Myers. Yeah, so even if you think you can slot him in as a flex there, Marv, you have to ask yourself, what is my team doing if I'm consistently starting Alec Pierce in a 14-by-8? Alec Pierce, who is, let's just say, wide receiver 25. So, yes, could he slot into your roster? Sure. But what does that mean for your team? Like, are you even winning? Because like, that's a mistake people make is they look at their team and they say, okay, Alec Pierce can fit into my roster here. But at the same time, it's like, well, what does that mean if Alec Pierce is starting every single week for my team, right? It probably means I'm not going to be winning a lot in a 14-by-8, right? Unless you have like wide receiver 24 in shallow leagues, wide receiver 20, 24 doesn't matter unless you have top 5 players at the other position, top 7, a couple top 7 players, 2 or 3. Okay, then the wide receiver 24 is nice to have. But if he's like your second, third best player, it probably just means you're losing, right? That's why I like to play in deeper leagues, because I think when you play in these shallower leagues, like, again, 12-by-8, 12-by-9, it kind of eliminates like 70% of the fantasy players, makes them irrelevant to winning. So that's why I like it playing in these deeper leagues. Neighbors versus JJ trade counter idea. My JJ and the 27 projected late first, I assume, and a third. You get Neighbors, Bucky, and a 27 second. I like that trade, Kevin. I like that trade. Essentially, you're giving up JJ and a 27 first for Neighbors, Bucky, and a 27 second. Yeah. So I like that trade for you. We talked about that there. I mean, some other dark horse teams. I think the Chargers are a dark horse team for Alec Pierce, because Chargers need some speed on that team. Alec Pierce ran a 4.4, a low 4.4. I think it might have been a 4.41 or a 4.4 flat. They need a little bit of speed on that team, and someone that can consistently stretch the field. Maybe that's huge. Maybe it's not. But he's a dark horse. I would say Alec Pierce is a dark horse to go to the Chargers as well. Pierce Downer, can't even see him being a wide receiver 2. Agreed. Landing spot options. If he gives you Shakir production, be grateful. Yeah. And again, like, I think we really have to ask ourselves, can Alec Pierce, and we're getting 40-yard times from running backs, by the way. I'll pull it up here. I think the first guy might have just gone, or maybe it's not updating. Maybe I need to refresh. Nope, it's not updating there. Yeah, like if we're expecting Alec Pierce to be much better than what he was last year, then I think we're kind of mistaken, even if he goes to one of those teams. Because again, the nature of Alec Pierce means he's not going to, like, how he plays and what you're signing him on your team for is to catch those long passes. If you're catching 17, 18, 20, 22 yards per catch, you're not going to get a lot of catches. That's just, because you're down the field in 2 or 3 plays, right? I mean, literally, if you're averaging 22 yards per reception, right? If your team starts on the 1, like, you literally have like 4 catches until you can no longer get more catches and yards, right? So that's just the nature of these deep pass guys. Like that's why they're very hard. They kind of have to catch 8+ touchdowns, right? Because we know they're not going to catch much more than 50, 60 passes. Could they get to 1,000 yards? Yes, like Alec Pierce. But when he puts up 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, well, it equals wide receiver 24 because he caught less than 50 passes. So, don't believe. Yeah, we talked about that. The Jets draft one. I feel like the wide receiver falling will take the class a little stronger and raise the value of picks. It could. There's a lot of good wide receivers. I really like. Emmett Johnson's running the 40. I'm curious what his 40 and 10-yard split are. I really like Omar Cooper. He could be a sneaky first-round pick in this draft. Denzel Boston could be, considered more closer to those top 3 wide receivers. Let's see what Emmett Johnson runs here. Let us see. Yeah, not good. Not great. A 4.6 for Emmett Johnson is a little slow. Not a lot of running backs that are successful running a 4.6. So hopefully he can improve on that, even maybe get to like the mid 4.5s or something. Yeah. I forgot they had that extra pick, Barb. That's why I was talking about the two. Jeremiah Love's about to run the 40. Makai Lemon looks like he has personality issues. That talking him looks wild. Potentially, I need to listen and do more research there. But he's my wide receiver one, man. That guy is awesome. He is awesome. The one thing I will say, looks like a false start there for Love. With smaller, I'm going to be interested. Has he measured in yet? Makai Lemon, is he going to the combine? The one thing I'll say is, so the NFL is shifting towards 3 tight end sets, right? Not 3 tight end sets, two and 3 tight end sets, mostly two tight end sets, right? This was, I think I heard a stat that this was the highest percentage of 2 tight end sets run since 2007. So we're kind of going back to the 2000s when it was running back heavy. I mean, you go look at some of the numbers these running backs were putting up in the 2000s, man. It was insane. Go look at the 2003 season. Go look at 2005, 2006 seasons. Like some of the numbers, Jeremiah Love ran a 4.37. Nice. We love to see that. Go look at some of these running back numbers. So we're slowly shifting back towards. That's why the running backs are doing so well, and quarterbacks and wide receivers aren't doing as well, right? What does that mean for? What does that mean for small? I think who it affects the most, and I believe it was Matt Harmon was on a podcast talking about this. When you have 2 tight ends out there, you do the math, right? You have 2 tight ends, you have 5 offensive linemen, you have a quarterback and running back usually. That's 9 players. That leaves 2 wide receivers on the field. So slot receivers are being affected the most, right? I think there were 7 over the last 2 seasons. There were 7 teams to run 2 tight ends on. Seth McGowan runs a 4.5. That's good for him. He's a bigger back. He gets in the 4.5 is perfectly fine. I'd like to see his 10-yard split there. But 7 teams ran 2 tight end sets 30% or more of their snaps. 7 teams over the last 2 in 2024 and 2025. I think one team even reached 40%. In 2022, there were 0 teams that ran more than 30% of their plays in 2 tight end sets. So we see the shift a little bit. So smaller wide receivers, and thank you, T-Zane, 5'11", 192, right? The only concern, I think, with Lemon is if teams are going to view him as a receiver that can play on the outside. I think he can, just how he plays. I think he can, but it's also going to depend on teams and whether or not they think that. And he could fall a little bit because of the size. Maybe. I don't know. I think he's wide receiver 1, though. Jonathan Brooks, a buy, sneaky throw-in. Yeah, 100%. Brooks is a throw-in. He's a throw-in to a trade. I don't know if you're going to be able to buy him for because I think the people that have Jonathan Brooks, assuming they've just had him since they drafted him, early second, potentially even late first in that draft. I think the people that have him are like, I'm not going to sell him for a 4th round pick. I'm not even going to sell him for a 3rd round pick in this year's draft. Yeah. Because I've held him this long. I might as well just see what's going to happen. Looks like Jadarian Price is about to run here. So, might as well just see what happens, right? As a buy-in, I think you could get him for sure. Sounds like he's going to be ready for training camp. Rico Dowdle's a free agent. I don't see the Panthers kind of look at what Javonte got. Javonte kind of set the market a little bit for that caliber of running back. what was it, 3 years, 24 million with like 16, 17 guaranteed. So basically 8 million a year with 70% of it or whatever guaranteed, or 60, 70% of it guaranteed. So I would assume that Rico is going to get something similar-ish, maybe not quite that number, but he's not going to be that far off. So I don't think the Panthers are going to bring back Dowdle. Technically, they could get out of Chuba's contract if they wanted to. I don't think they will, but they could. So yeah, Jonathan Brooks is definitely a sneaky buy-in. I mean, wasn't that Canales' like first draft pick, right? There, like, or that was his first draft, right? Canales' first draft. I don't know if it was his first draft pick, but let's see what Jadarian Price runs here. Let us see. Are we getting? Oh yeah, we're getting 40-yard times here. 4.5 for Jadarian Price, an official first attempt. So that's fine. That's fine for him. Emmett Johnson, man. What was Emmett Johnson? Let's see here. Yeah, not great for Emmett Johnson to be only 200 pounds. I assume this is his official weigh-in. And to only run a 4.6. That's not great. That's a bummer because, I mean, beyond like, obviously after Price, Love, Price, and Coleman, there's not a whole lot of guys I'm super excited about. Obviously Seth McGowan is one of those. I keep bringing him up, but he's 223. He ran a 4.5. He dominated in the vertical and the broad jump. I think that was the best for running backs in this combine. So 10-yard split, 1.54 is good. Anything under 1.55 is good. What was Emmett Johnson's? I missed that. What was his 10-yard split? 161. Eek. Yeah. That's tough. So yeah, Kevin, I do think he's a throw-in. Did any wide receiver prove themselves as starters this upcoming season? Io Manor has great tape from college. I kind of view Io Manor and DK as like wide receiver 2 and 3. Like I like DK a lot. Maybe not for fantasy. Obviously, if you get return yardage, he's a monster. But I just like DK, those type of players a lot. Like I think for an offense, he's really good. He can return kicks. He can return punts. You can hand the ball off to him. You can bubble screen him. He's just a fun player, right? To have Mike Washington up next year. I think at best those guys are Mike Washington with a 4.33. Holy crap! Sorry, guys, I'm distracted by the combine here. Anything to get more football. Isn't Mike Johnson like 230 or something? That's insane. To run like a 4.33. I don't know what he officially weighed in at. I don't have that all up right now. Once he shows up here, I'll be able to see it. But to run a 4.33 at his freaking size, man, holy crap. So yeah, obviously you're holding Io Manor in shallower leagues. I mean, you kind of have to hold DK, but I don't expect much from him. So they're a prime team to bring in a wide receiver. I mean, I would be kind of shocked if the Titans don't target a receiver 4th overall, or in the second round. There are 35th or 4th overall. So, yeah, I'd be a little surprised if they don't. I have Amon-Ra and Chase. Okay, so that makes it more feasible then. We talked about this. I can't agree with keep trade cut value of Pollard for only Pollard's an easy buy low. Pollard is 100% an easy buy low. Like Pollard is being, according to keep trade cut, is the running back 47. Last I checked, the running back 47. He literally finishes like a top 30 guy, 24 overall. Let me double check. Now, a lot of his production came at the end of the year for Pollard, which, he basically didn't help you get to the playoffs if you made it. He was RB30 in points per game. and RB 23 in total points. I'm going to show you Tony Pollard's stat page here. And I bring this up a lot in like buy low videos and stuff. But look at here's his Pro Football Reference page here, right? Look at this is the year we fell in love with Tony Pollard, 2022, right? Hopefully you guys can, saying I lost connection here. Can you let me know if you guys can hear me or not, or see my screen? It says I lost connection and stuff here. So let me know if you can hear me or not. Don't see anyone commenting. That you can hear me. So I don't know if I lost connection. Okay. You see me. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. This was the year we fell in love with Tony Pollard, right? 2022. This was when he was the 1B to Zeke, and he was awesome. Zeke leaves the next year, 2023. Disappointing. Super disappointed. Look at these 4 seasons, though, guys. Like, look at these 4 seasons. Look at the total yards. They're all within 100 yards of each other, right? 1378, 1316, 1317, 1288. Look at the catches. You know, he had a couple low ones in the 30s. He had a couple higher ones in the 40s and 50s, right? Right around 40, 45 or so catches. The only difference really is the touchdowns. Right? 6-5. He had 12 in the year that we loved him. He had 16 in the 3 years after that combined. So if Pollard gets onto a team that can score, right? If Pollard gets onto a team that can score 8 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, I think we're going to be, I think he has one more good year in him, at least. Whether or not he stays on the Titans, I don't know. But I still think he has another good year in him personally. So I think again, if you're buying him at RB 47, like that's not just his floor. That's like he just gets injured, right? Like I don't see Pollard finishing worse than a top 30 running back this year. With the chance that he's like top 24 or 20. So we got Seth McGowan running again. He ran a 4.5 originally. Runs a little bit slower that time, so they'll take his 4.5. Buka sizzled out hard last season with the departure of Mike Evans. Will he be an emerging threat? I have a theory that he only did great with Godwin and Evans were hurt, and they were all healthy. A little bit there. I would say, like, it's easy to forget, but Mike Evans was there in the beginning of the season, right? When Ibuka was really going off, Evans was playing at least the first few games of the season. And I do have to take off here, guys, but Mike Evans played the first 3 weeks of the season, and that was 3 of Emeka Ibuka's best games. I don't know. I'm not super worried about Emeka Ibuka as of now. I think a lot of it. I think it did have to his. Sorry, I just saw something on TV. His production did slip. I do think a part of it was because of Godwin and Evans, but I'm not like super worried about Ibuka. I think a part of it also had to do with just like the whole offense kind of tanked. Baker got hurt. I think Ibuka even got hurt. So they all wanted to be wide receiver 1. Yeah, Evans could be gone. Sounds like he's going to explore the market a little bit. Jadarian Price runs a 4.5 again. Again, all unofficial here. So I am going to take off, but because I do have to. Tomorrow evening, I'm going to be live. I'm going to be live doing hopefully some rookie mocks after post NFL Combine. I hope you guys can join us. Mike Washington. Okay, he weighed in at 223. Thought he was going to be a little bit heavier than that. He ran a 4.33, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. So excited to see that. So anyways, guys, appreciate you, Kevin, Marv, T-Zane, Mick, appreciate you all kind of popping in and giving me something to talk about. It's always nice when I'm solo. I always have a harder time coming up with things to talk about. So appreciate you all. Join me tomorrow. Again, right around 6 Eastern time. We're going to be doing some rookie mocks. So appreciate you all, and I will see you guys all in tomorrow's stream. Peace.